He watched them die, those horse lords, those gods of war. The clamour of it ebbed even as the light leached from the land, but he knew he would hear it always. He watched until it was done. The songs say I will come again. Here I am. Hello and welcome today to the channel. I'm Will and I'll be talking about a book that has been released in 2024, one of my favourite reads of the year, and it is Arthur by Giles Kristian, as I'm sure you know from the title of the video. This is an Arthurian Legends series. This is the third companion tale, which begins with Lancelot and then moves on to Camelot and then finishes with Arthur. This is what Giles Kristian said will be the last book of his series. But, as I said, they are companion tales, so it's not your normal series of kind of progression of the story. Each one in this series is full of different POVs, 90% of the cast is different, and it is a story in and unto its own. Lancelot is a standalone, Camelot is a standalone, and Arthur is a standalone, but they are intertwined and linked, of course. So you could just dive in and read Arthur straight away. I personally would recommend at least reading Lancelot first, and I think Arthur is my favourite of the series, and then Lancelot, and then Camelot. And so I adore all three, and I highly recommend that you read them all. Over on the Brothers Gwynner channel, I have with my brother, as I'm sure you know, I will be talking alongside with Ed about the whole trilogy, but today I'm talking more specifically about Arthur. This is a book where we follow a grim, disillusioned veteran mercenary named Beren. And he kills for a living, and we just kind of jump and we don't know about his past. We don't know about the past of those he's with, but we know they've been tasked with ambushing a group. And then it ends up that he is looking after a boy. He saves this boy and he creates a lot of enemies in doing so. And we're not sure what his motivations are, but he saves this boy and he's immediately on the run. And this is no ordinary boy. It is a boy who could unite Britain, but only if he survives and only if Beren can get him to safety. And so that is the premise of Arthur. We follow two timelines, two POVs. We follow, as I said, the old veteran mercenary called Beren, who has a very hidden past. We know that we're going to discover what that is, and we have the breadcrumbs throughout to discover who he is and what has happened in his past to shape him into the man he is today, a very bitter man and one who has lost kind of all hope in the world, and he feels very, very disillusioned, to say the least. The other perspective is going back in time, and it is Arthur as a boy, his growing up with Uther as his father, and it's really showing his childhood and how that formed not only the battles and tribulations of his life to come, but it also shows how he became the man of myth and legend, and it is done brilliantly. I find a lot of the times authors dual timelines, they can reap great rewards, but they're also very risky because you can't give away spoilers for one and the other, and it often feels quite forced and quite jarring a lot of the times. I think it's one of the kind of the hardest structures for authors to pull off. But Giles Kristian does a really fantastic job. He manages to somehow make the tone of both feel quite similar during their progression, so it's not jarring jumping between one and the other. And so yeah, he does a fantastic job with that, and it's just one aspect that I love about Arthur. So I imagine you've all read or watched different takes on Arthurian legend, and you might be wondering what makes this different, because with so many of them out there, it can feel a bit kind of tiresome, can't it? Just having the same story told again and again and again. But this is so different. As I said, it is based in historical fiction, like Bernard Cornwell's Warlord Chronicles is, another favourite series of mine. But this feels very different in that Arthur is almost like Giles Kristian is adding on to the Arthurian legend. We have some ideas of the Arthurian myth that are present. We've got Tristan and Isolde, and we've got other aspects as well, similar characters. But this is... it's hard to say without spoilers, but it's adding stuff that you would not have seen before. It feels familiar but new, and so we've kind of got that sense of nostalgia and that sense of kind of all the tropes of heroism and tragedy, of hope and loss, of sacrifice and of course, of the action and the idea of unifying Britain as well. We have all of that familiarity of the Arthurian legend, but the story is so different. Giles Kristian isn't really adapting something told before and telling it again. He's adding his own aspect to the story, and that is just absolutely fantastic. It's a bit risky when there's so much that we love to see in the Arthurian legend that we almost feel a bit disappointed when it's left out. But Giles Kristian, again, in my opinion, just hits the perfect balance of making it feel very fresh, but obviously very inspired by the Arthurian legend and the themes and tropes that we're so used to. Giles Kristian is, of course, the author of the Raven and Rise of Sigurd trilogies, which are Viking trilogies, historical fiction as well, which are brilliant. You should check them out as well. But he's always had this sense of lyrical prose where it's not purple prose and it's not super complex. It's very accessible, easy to read. But especially in the Arthurian tales, he creates this almost ethereal sense. His prose adds this sense of mysticism, as if we're gliding along the pages following these characters. But he is a writer, of such craft and precision and prowess that he almost strips away this ethereal edge, or it seems like he does so purposefully, in moments of kind of great tension. And it adds this element of rawness that really filters through to the reader, and it makes the events and emotion of the moment hit so much harder. I got very emotional at times in this story, and I felt the highs and the lows of the characters. And that leads on to my next point. This is a character-driven story. I love reading, as you can tell from the bookshelves behind me, and as I talk about all the time on this channel. I love reading. And for me, the main attraction, there are some anomalies, but the main attraction for my favourite books are the characters. It's that the writer is character focused and the character is at the heart of the story. That is definitely completely 100% of the intention of Giles Kristian in Arthur. The characters are the heart. The plot is not your normal conventional plot that follows a through line. There are kind of seeming tangents and bits that don't feel normal in a story, and that's because we're following the characters in a very natural, progressive sort of way, where we're following them instead of them being streamlined into a story to tell certain events. Arthur and those around him are explored brilliantly. I love Tristan and Isolde in this, and I love how there's a parallel between Guinevere, Lancelot and Arthur, obviously because Tristan and Isolde is sort of that forbidden romance, and the same is with Lancelot and Guinevere. And I love how that is really portrayed in here. I've always thought of that kind of relationship between those stories. There's a lot of Arthurian stories that feel a little bit similar, but I've never seen them kind of compared in a way to really highlight the emotion and the impact on the characters. And Giles Kristian has done that here, something I've always wanted to see, and he really hits home with it. Giles Kristian has used his skill as a writer to really weave a new tapestry into the Arthurian legend that feels new and fresh, yet simultaneously feels nostalgic with, I've been a fan of Arthurian myth and legend for the majority of my life, from watching the Merlin BBC programme to reading Michael Morpurgo's King Arthur, and so on and so forth. I've read so many Arthurian retellings, and this is near the top of the pile. I love that it's something very different, so you can't really compare to other Arthurian works, and it's just brilliant in a whole new way. It is just simply extraordinary. It is going down as one of my favourite books of all time. It's one of the best historical fiction books I've read. It is an absolute testament to Giles Kristian's skill in characterisation, in storytelling, and every aspect that is included in this book, from the prose, characters, and so on. The world building really feels unique. It is immersive. As I said, the prose isn't complex or over the top or purple, but he uses kind of a stripped back but lyrical prose to not only enhance the emotion but to also add immersion. These characters have traits and attributes that just feel natural to the land they're in, and Giles Kristian doesn't kind of emphasize them early on to really hit home, yes, this is the setting. He allows them just to feel natural, and we see that throughout the book, and it's just done brilliantly. I've been overwhelmingly positive in this review because I just have really nothing except great things to say about it. Subjectively, of course, everything hit home with me. I think that if you're looking for something really epic and large scale, this won't be a book for you. But if you're looking for something a bit different to what you're usually reading, something much more intimate and personal, then this definitely is one that you should pick up. And also, I love the cover of this, and also Lancelot and Camelot. So another bonus is they look awesome together on the bookshelves. But as I said, no book is for everyone, and so if you're looking for something large scale, maybe not for you. And if you want a quick read as well, I'd recommend reading all 3 of the Arthurian tales. So it's not a palate cleanser. It's one that I think you should also take your time over. It's one that there's a lot of hidden depth, and because so much of it is about the characters and their history, their motivations and agenda, it's not one I think you should read in a day, because if you do that, you may miss a few of the the nuances of this tale. But if that's not what you're looking for, then this is something that I really think you should dive into straight away. Lancelot, Camelot and Arthur, pick them up. That is the message of this video, and this is a full, of course, 5 out of 5 stars for me. But everyone, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these. Have you read any Arthurian books in the past? I will next be picking up in the Arthurian line The Once and Future King by T.H. White, which is a favourite of so many people. But for now, I'm happy with having read Arthur. I may leave a little bit just so I can be ready for some Arthurian work again. But yeah, I absolutely love this. As a historical fiction work and Arthurian legend work, it is up there with my favourites. And I think everyone should read it. But as I said, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and stay safe.